Hey, how you all doing today? And I am back with, yes, another movie review. And this is a movie which that just popped into my head again when I typed in this title called Pet. That's basically what it's called. It's called Pet. And I only typed this in because it just randomly came in my head when I typed in. I was I just recorded. I watched this movie years and years ago, and I remember it. I remember most of the movie that pops into my head. So this movie here, it's kind of one of those movies where it's the second half of it or the last like 20-30 minutes of it is interesting but not good. Uh, Now, when I first saw it, it was interesting to me because it's got both horror element to it slash thriller slash you could say a tiny bit of mystery to it, and it's about this security guard. His name is Seth. I only had to look at the characters' names now because I totally forgot about him. Now it's about the security guard that God goes in the bus and sees this girl that he's obsessed with. A big crush. You know how it is in horror movies where a guy sees their crush or whatever and they kidnap them and stuff like that. It's kind of like that. He kidnaps her because this I don't know how often he used to see her in the bus and whatnot. And then kidnaps her, puts her in a box, in a cage and stuff. And there's also another security guard called Nate. I just had to check his name up as well. I think his name is Nate. And yeah, so he works with this other security guard. This other security guard doesn't know obviously what his plan is. So he puts this woman in a box. He wheels her into like a basement floor, and where he begins to I don't to interrogate her, and I don't know what the purpose of this entire thing was. Probably just to keep her there for like a long time, and I don't know that it talks about there was. It's hard to explain what exactly he was trying to do here. The storyline was a bit unclear, but then he gradually finds out that she's not who she says she is. Now she's not a demon. She's not nothing supernatural. Nothing like that at all. He begins to read her diary. For goodness, I don't know what his obsession was. I don't know if it was love or if he wanted to know more about her. I think it was a bit of both. I can't really remember how it was in the movie, but I think he wanted to know more about her. So he read her diary, which a bit odd why anyone would do that. And he finds out that she had like a sister that that died in a car crash. I can't really remember the storyline to it. And then so gradually he starts to notice something about her. And he's like, oh, maybe this woman's not as she says she is. She doesn't seem that right in the head there. And there's a scene of this you know of this woman talking to her sister. A spirit. It's a ghost of her sister. And then it's quite odd. So he starts to realize maybe she has a bit of like a mental problem going on there. I think she was taking some medication for it. I just can't quite remember. And the ending of this movie, like bear in mind that I will give away spoilers. That's usually how because when I talk about a movie, I will have to give out some spoilers in it. And it's just because the end of this movie, this is what makes the movie probably a bit interesting. Like the ending is what saves it because it is a bit of a dull movie. I can't exactly remember when it was released and was first made, but it's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's more like a psychological thriller, but they put horror into it for some reason. And she starts to manipulate him. This is where the clever game comes into it because she is quite clever in the way she's thinking it. She knows what's going on, so she figures she could do it back to him. And you know what they say about karma, you know, and the end part is karma for him. That's a bit of a clue there to what would happen to what happens at the end of it. So Nate starts to realize and finds out that wait, there's this woman trapped in a cage here, like some sort of box or something. And then this that Seth pops up behind him, and this woman that almost wants this guy to do bad to this security guard for some reason. I don't know. But she wants Seth to, she manipulates Seth into killing him, and then, Seth chops, cuts, what is it, Nate's body up into pieces and whatnot, making him like the serial killer. It's quite, it's quite interesting how that plot comes into it. Like, it's good manipulate. It's quite interesting manipulation tactics in the movie, which probably saves a movie's life for being quite poor and dull. Like, it's not the best movie ever. I'm quite disappointed of it. It wasn't that good to the point where it felt really short. Like when a movie's not that good, it feels short because not much has happened or is happening. So after he does that, he releases her, and I can't remember what happened towards that bit after he sort of does that. I think was it? Did she? I think she might have sliced his throat, or he might have did that. I can't quite remember the ending towards that movie. But at the end, it shows her going to like a building, and her keeping him in the cage. So really, it's the end is quite really interesting. There, it's kind of like it's karma. You know, he's it's the same has been done to him, but I don't know if it's some parts of it is pretty unclear, but there wasn't that much in the movie. So if I had to give this a rating, hmm, what rating should I give it? It's an average movie. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. I would have given it a 3 or 4 if they didn't have the twist at the end there. I didn't have that little part where Nate sort of no, where Seth sort of like kills Nate and gets manipulated by her. That's what makes the movie a tiny bit interesting, but there wasn't really any excitement. It didn't really jump off my seat. It didn't shock me. It didn't go like, oh my god, no. It's it's sort of kind of like it lacked more to the story. There should have been a big storyline to it. And I've watched this years ago. Bear in mind, some of these movies I've spoken about, some of you might like it. Some of you might find some of the terrible movies I've spoken about good. Some of you might find the storyline of some of these disappointing movies good. That's why I would recommend. No, that's why I recommend all of you lot to actually watch these movies for yourself and see what you can judge in it. Because the movies that I say that are good, they're good to me. Because I do think the good movies I've spoken about are actually good, and the bad movies I've actually spoken about are actually quite bad. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you want. Comment below, share with everyone you know. Subscribe and hit the bell notification below. And I'll see you in my next video.